Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner Sean Kip Casey. We have another Wednesday marketing webinar for you, and have some pretty interesting stuff to show you today. It will basically be on little known ways to make extra money with Webfire, as well as some tricks and stuff that you can do by hand outside of it. I'll show you how those of you that obviously have Webfire will have an even easier way of doing a lot of these as well, and some pretty exciting stuff. And I hope that of the methods I'll share with you, there'll be about 6 or so. I hope that at least a couple of them are of interest to you, and hopefully you can take some action on those, because I think all of them can be pretty useful, and because they're not really talked about a ton, or oftentimes they're kind of lesser known, I thought I'd have a call basically devoted to just those, to hopefully open up some eyes and such to that. So without further ado, we can get this show on the road once more on little known ways to make extra money with Webfire, as well as some outside of it. So again, welcome to the Wednesday call here. And again, I know most of you know this, but for those that are new, it's every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is right about now. We'll host a live training and or a Q&A call for our members. If you're here or you're registered for this series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. And as always, you'll have a chance to win $100 cash today. We'll explain how towards the end of the call, but you first have to join the free Facebook group here, which you can by basically going to getwebfire.com/FB group. And if you're not a member, just click join, and you'll be approved usually within like a minute or 2 or so. And then towards the end of the call, we'll explain how you can win $100 cash on the spot today. We'll pick a random person on the call and PayPal them $100 instantly. So now let's move on to our training for this week on little known ways of making money with Webfire. So there's lots of ways of making money with Webfire, or through SEO, lead gen, traffic gen, and so forth, both for yourself or as a service. But rather than focus on the ones that we've already basically talked about a lot, we want to point out a few lesser known ways that we think would probably be appealing to you. And here's the overview for today. First, we'll cover the little known ways to make money with Webfire, and that will all be essentially live. I'll be in just a minute or so. I'll be changing my screens, and I'll be showing off a handful of the tools and stuff live, and explaining the methods. So you don't just see it on a PowerPoint, but you can see exactly what I'm doing, because I find that tends to help people a lot more in cases like this. Then we'll have time for our Q&A. If you have any questions related to this, or anything that has to do with marketing even outside of this, that's fine. And then we'll wrap it up with our cash giveaway. So the little known ways, and there's 6 right here, and again, I'll show these off live and explain what each one is in just a minute or 2 here. First one, I'll share some tricks that you can do with expired domain names. Then I'll show the review keyword sniper method, which is a pretty cool way to get easy rankings as an affiliate. Then we'll talk a bit about finding buyer markets and niches, and how to research them and find some good opportunities out there. Then I'll show you a little trick that you've probably all seen but never actually realized what it could be used for. And it's a way to basically come up with new questions for basically content that you can rank, or that you can make and easily rank for. Then I'll share a cool trick that I call the affiliate ad opportunity, where you can have basically ads to affiliate products or your own. I know some of you might not have your own products, so this can work well as an affiliate without having to do a ton of work. And then I'll share a cool method I call the list and client sniping method. This is how you can literally grab basically clients of other people's completely ethically, and see exactly who's a client of who, and a very cool trick there. And as I said, of course, I'll be doing a live demo of each one. So some will have like a saved search on, some will show up live. And I'll just pause the screen right now as I switch on over. All right, so now we're inside of Webfire right here. And the first one that I want to show off is what I call basically tricks with expired domain names. So in case you don't know what an expired domain name is, it's basically any domain like you have, like domain.com or blog.com or anything like that. Oftentimes those can expire. Like people don't renew them for like another year, and people sometimes let these expire for a variety of reasons. Oftentimes it's they don't care about the website anymore, so they're basically done with it. It could be that they went out of business. It could be that they had it as a hobby site and they no longer care about it. Could be that perhaps the business owner or the person that owned the site maybe died. It could be also that sometimes they just forget to reveal it. Now, usually, the places that you would buy a domain through, they basically give you like a ton of warnings, and even after it expires, they usually have like a month or two to still renew it, and they give lots of warnings. But even then, sometimes people just forget and they don't care a ton. And these expired domains don't just vanish. They still exist out there online. And oftentimes a lot of these will have links from other sites to them. Sometimes they'll even be ranking. But even if they're not ranking themselves, in like Google, Yahoo, or Bing, because oftentimes when one expires, Google and those guys might rank them for a bit, but usually if it remains expired, they tend to kick those off eventually. But oftentimes, instead of just finding them ranked on page one, you might find them listed on another page one site that does rank, and it might be a site that mentions another link or like another site that is ranked at the very top. So those links can stay live essentially indefinitely in that case, and you can get a lot of traffic from those places going to your own place. And there's a few different things that you can actually do. I mean, one is if you have, like, let's say you have a site on organic dog food. You can find expired domains on organic dog food and have them just forward 2 years. So all the clicks, all the traffic and such that those get can forward to your own name. And the cool part with that is, domains, usually depending on where you buy or where you register them through, you're usually talking like $7 to $10 a year for like a .com. Some cases even less. Some cases, some places might charge a tinge more, but roughly in that ballpark of $7 to $10 a year. And if you even get like 100 clicks a year for $7 to $10, that's a pretty good deal for a targeted click. If you get like 1,000 clicks, that's an insane deal for like $7 to $10. You'd have to be dumb not to take them up on that, especially when people are basically clicking through to check out that site. You can also just have the traffic forward to an affiliate link. So let's say you were an affiliate of Amazon, you could have it forward to organic dog food on Amazon. So anytime people click that link, knowing that that the site was about organic dog food, that a site may have been selling, you could forward it there. You can also have it be, you don't just have to use it for like affiliate links or your own products. Oftentimes local businesses even expire. I just saw one, just the other day actually. Actually, I saw two the other day. One actually expired. One looks like it's about to actually expire. I was actually looking for a mobile mobile dog grooming service. Basically, people that drive out to your house in like a van that has like a bath in it and all that stuff, and they basically groom your dog and all that right there, so you don't have to drive them to a grooming place. And I noticed that, you know, of all the places that were around here, there were maybe like 4 or 5 sites, and of those, 2 of them appear to be no longer in business. They're still ranked. In one case, one had a Yelp listing at the very top of Google. I think they were like the #1 result, but their website was expired. And then they also had another listing in the middle and the bottom of page 1 as well. And most likely in this case, this person probably had a mobile grooming business and just went out of business for whatever reason, and they just left up you know, their website and stuff there. So what you could do is, if you find these, you can snatch these up, then offer to either sell or rent them out to other local businesses. I mean, imagine if
Brian, sorry to interrupt. Have you moved off the dashboard?
Not yet. I'm going to explain it. And
okay, because somebody just posted and I realized that I too was still staring at the dashboard. We just wanted to make sure that.
Yep.
Okay, look, it moved. Okay, good.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, so, I just want to explain basically methods, and I'll show off what you can do here.
Oh, that's fine. I just want to make sure we weren't stuck.
No worries. Thanks. You know, with that, like, you know, imagine if you had an expired domain name for, you know, a mobile dog grooming place, and you went to another one and said, hey, for, you know, $100 a year or a few $100 a year, you know, which would be dirt cheap, but, you know, for a mobile dog grooming place, you know, they're probably not making hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything, but that would be a decent deal right there. And again, it only costs you $7 to $10 right there. If you did the same thing for like a local business that was like, let's say, a builder or like a lawyer or, you know, a plastic surgeon or like anything like that, where obviously the value of any client is worth a lot more to them, and they probably make a lot more than, let's say, a groomer. You know, in that case, you could charge a lot more and say, hey, for maybe $100 a month, you let them forward basically traffic from here. And people love that because it's like, in their eyes, they're like, man, I get to get basically traffic from my competition or my old competition going to me. So that's a cool little method that you can do. So this is how it works. You go to inside of Webfire, you go under SEO and keywords, and you click on expired domains right here. And then you basically type in any keyword that's of interest to you. It will then find 50 related keywords. It will list those up right here. And it gives you the monthly searches and all that right there. And then it will search Google, Yahoo, and Bing for expired domain names, and not just ones that are ranked on page 1, but ones that are listed on live sites that are ranked. So in this case, we found one where it's a expired domain, and it ranked on for raw food diet for dogs. It shows up on Bing, #5 on page 1, and it's found on a live site that's #5. So it probably talks about some you know, sites where you can buy raw food for, you know, dogs and stuff from, and this shows up right here. Now that probably was a site that sold raw dog food at some point in time, maybe went out of business. And again, this is an available domain that you can snatch up. And this might, you know, usually if they rank for one, or if they're listed on a site that ranks for one, they probably have a lot of other sites that they could be mentioned on. And again, if you just do like a quick search for that in Google, you know, you can see maybe other sites that have you know, linked to it and stuff like that. But for, you know, $7 to $10 a year, you know, you can register that domain, and again, you can forward it to your affiliate link to, you know, other, you know, organic dog food places or raw dog food places, or have it go to your own site or wherever you want right there, or even rent it out to basically competition as well. Now, with a tool like this, you typically will not find, you know, a lot of domains on any given day for a certain keyword, because again, every day there's, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. I don't know the exact amount, but probably in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of domains that expire, and any day you could have new ones show up. And especially when it comes to ones that have rankings or are listed on sites, those typically won't last around long. So again, this is an awesome tool to help you easily find those very, very quickly. I know I've done this search in the past, and the listings change all the time. So I'm not saying you have to do a search every day, but if you're interested in a market, if you do a search like once a week or so, that's pretty good right there. And you'll find anywhere, usually most of the searches I do get anywhere from like 0 to 3 domains on any given search. If you don't get any, just search like maybe another set of keywords, and typically you'll eventually find at least some. But again, this can change daily as new domains become available. Because and what's really neat here is that there's places that sell domains that have existing links and stuff, and they oftentimes will sell for premium prices too. So rather than you having to buy it for hundreds of dollars, up front in like a domain auction, you can get them almost for free. Basically, whatever the price is for you to register a domain through any provider that you want, whether it's your own host or any domain place. And again, most of the time, places usually charge in the $7 to $10 range. I think the high I've seen is maybe like some places charge 15, but if you find basically the cheapest one you want, you can register them wherever you want right there. Another example I have here, I had a search, and this was basically an accidental one that I found. So I wanted to first look for Builder, Madison, Wisconsin for a local one, and what I found, by a random chance, I found this guy right here. He shows up on a site that's ranked number 4 and 7 for home renovation, Madison, Wisconsin. And what I found was that in some cases you'll find like other builders and stuff. Sometimes you'll find other sites or links that they have in common. In this case, this site right here was a website design service that actually made this site here. So the website design service appears to have gone out of business, but they still have this site linking to them. And the interesting part is they actually have links on several other sites that they made linking back to them as well. So there's a lot of organic clicks that you can get, a lot of backlinks that you can get right off the get-go through that service right there. Now, you can also do this for any market that you want, whether it's a local business, whether it's a big keyword, or I shouldn't say big one, a global keyword, or absolutely anything that you want. Even if you find random domains that you just want to send affiliate traffic to, if you want to send it to your affiliate link, that's perfectly fine too. And you can also too, if you find a bunch of them, and if you want to verify for yourself that it is indeed a expired domain. Now they will be in all this case, but just in case you want to check or don't know where to buy them through, you can go to any place like GoDaddy.com or any domain place like that, and all you have to do is basically type in the domains that are of interest to you, and then you click if you want it as a .com or .net or anything, and they will basically tell you if it's available, and then you can buy it right there, or you can get it through HostGator, one-on-one hosting, or any place that you want right there. So that's the first method right there. And again, expired domains, one good one can be worth a lot of money. So it's definitely something that you kind of want to keep your eyes on and such. The other method that I want to talk about is one that I call the review keyword sniper method. Now, if you're just an affiliate for any product and you're writing a review of it, we've taught you in the past how to rank for some of those terms, like rank your review and stuff. So like if you wanted to write a review of GetResponse or Aweber, which are autoresponders, typically people would start with, a term like GetResponse review or GetResponse.com review or some term like that. And if you use the keyword that you're trying to rank for somewhere in the title, of your blog post or the title tag of your web page, it oftentimes gives you a much better chance of ranking. But a good way to find easy opportunities to snipe easy rankings is to use the keyword tool, and you just go under SEO tools right here, click on keyword tool, and you can type in any kind of term that you want, like anything that you're interested in. Like let's say you were interested in trying to rank for the term GetResponse versus Aweber review or anything like that. You could type that in, and if you have this basically checked off right here, it will find 50 related keywords. If you just do this second option, you can separate the terms by a comma, and you can search a lot less than 50 if you want. In this case, I did basically the default, which will find 50 related keywords, which allows you to find some hidden keywords that you may not have thought about. I actually paused this search partway through because I did this towards the start of this call right here, just make sure it was fresh. And basically you want to ignore most of the keywords in red because those will be harder to basically rank for. But you'll see some hidden opportunities in there that are easier to rank for. Like right here we see Aweber versus MailChimp versus GetResponse. Not really a lot of people trying to compete over that term, but a decent amount of searches right there. Like right there, there's 110 exact searches a month for that term, and almost 1,000 that include that entire phrase along with some extra terms, possibly like review and such. Now, that might not seem like a ton of traffic, but it's the fact that if you're looking for this keyword, you're what? You're probably about to buy one of those, right? So if you can help them, if you can convince them on which one is perhaps the better deal and why, and have it be a legit review or a legit comparison, you're likely that the traffic that you get are highly likely to then buy, especially through your affiliate link and stuff. Here's one right there that, again, almost no one, or I should say in this case, not almost, no one is competing for that term right there. And in this case, the reason probably is like some people type in, versus VS without the period. Some will use the period. In this case, this one has 0 people trying to compete over that, so you'd have a good chance of ranking there. And yeah, so it just gives you a pretty good idea of what you can try to go for and whatnot. And usually, you can find at least a few decent keywords for almost any kind of review term that can give you an awesome chance of ranking, and then you just go to blogger.com or you go to your WordPress blog or whatever you want, and you have that term that was easier to rank for. You have it be somewhere in the blog post title, and you have a very good chance of ranking, kind of sniping traffic off of that right there. The other method that I want to show off is sometimes people don't know like what market that they want to search for, or they don't know where basically buyers are. Well, there's actually several lead tools that can help with that. Two of the main ones that are good with that is under leads we have real-time lead finder, and under social we have tweet lead finder. The one you see right here is real-time lead finder, and what you can do is you can basically type in terms like I'm looking to buy, or I want, or looking to get, or any term like that. I just picked this one, which is this is far more narrow because I'm saying I'm looking to buy versus like lots of people might say looking to buy out without having I'm prior. But even right there we see a decent amount of leads, and people are basically talking about wanting to buy all sorts of stuff, including a person right here that wants to buy a house. The very first one, it's basically talking about a person that wants to buy a house. Here's a person that wants to buy some kind of machine as a third lead down. And this is just, it's kind of a neat way to kind of see what people want. You can also, like, if you just...
Hey Brian?
Yep.
I got to interrupt because 2 people popped questions almost simultaneously that relate to each other with what you're doing. because we probably confused somebody else. Okay.
Sure.
So Amelia asked the question this way: if there's no search for that, why is it a desirable title? And I think she's not understanding, but and she can explain this further, but I think she's not understanding.
On this?
Yeah.
All right, so it's not that there's no search. Like right here, okay, right here, for this term that I gave as an example, there's 110 searches a month right there. Now that's an estimation. Google oftentimes is off right there, and usually if it's less than like 100 or so, especially less than 50, they oftentimes don't actually report the amount of searches. So like right here, like this one says 0 because the info basically comes from basically Google and places like that. But really it just means that the search volume is low. But if it shows up, it means people are searching for it, because otherwise it wouldn't show up as a keyword. So it's one of the drawbacks with the information that can be pulled is that Google and those places don't actually report on well over half of the keywords out there, because there's most likely billions and billions of keywords, and there's not enough power to basically process every single search term that a person might possibly search for. Whereas most of the terms would be over like 100 or so. But if it shows up here, it's worth basically going for it, even if there's only a handful of searches, because if it's a buyer term, you don't need a lot of traffic. If you get even let's say a couple dozen searches each month for a keyword that brings in a lot of buyers, you don't really care on that. Now, granted, at the same time, there's some that have a lot more searches. Like right here, this one has 1,300 searches per month. It's kind of up to you to kind of weigh the pros and cons of how likely is the keyword to contain buyers, and usually common sense tries to work there. So if someone's looking for a review type term, they're far more likely to be a buyer. If they're looking for like a generic name, they're less likely to be a possible buyer in that case. So hopefully that cleared up that right there.
Right. So let me jump in for a second, because I still get a lot of questions, and a lot of people are confused about the search number. So how many of you would like it if you could be number one for the search term that everybody uses the moment before they buy Aweber or GetResponse or whatever? Would anybody like that? Okay, and lots of people are typing yes. Okay, so that doesn't exist. Okay, so here in the real world, and I hate to be like Debbie Downer, but here in the real world, okay, people search lots and lots of different keywords when they're wandering around. Okay, your job to capture this free traffic is to work from the amount of time that you have to put into your business, is to work to get the most effective things built that you can. So one of those is to look at the search term, whatever it was, MailChimp versus GetResponse versus Aweber or whatever, and to look at that term and go, wow, this would be easy for me to rank for. In 10 minutes, I could throw up a quick review. I only have to do this once. I don't have a lot of competition. Everybody who takes the time to do this is definitely looking to buy an autoresponder, and so they're a great potential customer. If I'm ranked in the top couple results for this, I'm probably going to get 20 or 30 or 40 or maybe 50 visitors a month, and they're highly likely to be buyers and to follow my recommendation. So I might get 5 or 10 customers a month. The lifetime value of those customers is hundreds of dollars a piece. So if I get ranked number one for this, I might make $500 over time on average every month for an article that gets ranked one time. And I know the number 110 or whatever it is looks like a small number, and it is a small number, but it's all relative to the quality of people that are going to come through and what they're worth. Now, would you want to go after potentially 100 people if you only made like 25 cents for every person that you got that became a buyer or a lead? No, that's not worth the time. But in this case, they're worth a lot of money to you because you get paid a percentage every month as the autoresponder bill gets paid. So you might be making $10 or $20 or $50 a month for every buyer you refer to them, and it could go on for years, right? But the other thing is, the 110 is best we can figure out the exact number of people who search that exact phrase in the order in which you see. But you're likely, once you rank for that phrase, to rank for very similar phrases, to pick up more broad traffic. So what's going to happen is you're going to get exposure to hundreds of people, if not thousands of people a month, because of ranking for this longer tail, more specific keyword phrase that's going to be more likely to get buyers. Okay? So as Brian said, you look at this and you say, okay, of these phrases that are easy to rank for, relatively speaking, which ones are more likely to contain buyers? And buyers, no one searches for review sites unless they're thinking about buying, because why else would you search for a review site, right? So they're all good prospects who are looking to buy soon. And these terms, while they don't have thousands of people every month that are coming in necessarily, still can make you a lot of money. And you're talking about doing the work to write or have someone write this page for you, post it up, get a few links to it, and beat out the competition. You're talking about doing this one time, right? And yet getting paid for a long time to come, because unless somebody comes in and beats you out, and then you just go ahead and beat them out because you can track your rankings inside of Webfire, keep track of all this. If you did one of these every week, it would add up over time to be a substantial amount of money. If you do them more often and do them faster, it's going to add up faster. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody's kind of got this down. That when you look at the numbers and you think they're small, it's all relative to what you can get out of them.
Yeah,
all right, Brian.
Yep, and oftentimes too, again, like occasionally, Google and such won't actually even give numbers on some, because to them the volume might be too low. But it's still, I mean, even if it shows up, it means it has gotten searched, and it'd be worth, most likely going after. Now, having said that, if there's like two keyword terms that both appear to be like buyer type terms, I'm not saying like that you have to go for the low one. I mean, if one gets like 10,000 searches a month and the competition's almost none, and the term is likely to be a buyer type phrase, absolutely favor that. But at the same time, if it's super easy to also go for the other ones, you might as well, because if you target the keywords so well that they're likely to be buyers, it's worth basically the time it takes you to go after that. But yeah, as I was saying with right here, with both of the lead tools like the real-time lead finder and tweet lead finder, you can find all sorts of guys asking to buy all sorts of stuff. So like if you use terms like looking to buy, I want this, or any term like that, you can sometimes just get like a variety of ideas. You can also too, if you just want to see like what people are talking about in a certain niche, you can type in products related to that niche and just see what basically pops up as well. So it's just a way to get some cool ideas there. And on that note of getting ideas, I want to share with you a cool trick that you can do just with Google itself. So right here, oftentimes, I get asked the question like, well, how can you come up with like stuff to rank for, stuff to go after? And first of all, I say, the keyword tool obviously helps there, but another trick that works well is to rank for questions that people ask. Because if people oftentimes will search for an exact, like, essentially question, and oftentimes those don't necessarily get like a ton of searches, but they can be very good buyer type terms, and it's oftentimes very easy to rank for questions. So if you do like a blog post or like an article where you have the question in the title, you have a very good chance of ranking. But the problem is oftentimes people don't know what to try to rank for. So one, you can use the keyword tool to help you with that and basically type in a question, but you can also do a search in Google and it will show you some suggested questions that people might have. So let's say that you sell mopeds, or you want to be an affiliate of mopeds, and your thought as well, if some sell for like $1,000, if you make a decent cut, as an affiliate, it might be good to rank for a variety of terms. So what you can do is you can start to type in a question like, what is the best moped, or anything related to the niche that you're in. I'll just do, what is the best moped? And you see right here, there's several suggested keywords. So in this case, you not only see what is the best moped, you see what is the best moped to get, what is the best moped brand, and what is the best moped for a 16-year-old. Now, that last one's the type of question that I probably would have never thought people would search for. I would probably think, hey, people might say, what's the best moped to get, maybe what's the best moped brand or type of moped, but people are clearly, in this case, Google basically says oftentimes people that type this in will also want to see what is the best moped for a 16-year-old. My guess is that you also might see like, what's the best moped for a college student, or something like that. But this tells you that clearly for a 16-year-old is a search that people indeed search for. So what you can do is you can create a quick article, and again, like, this doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to take you hours and hours. You can write an article in like 15 minutes on what you think is the best moped for a 16-year-old and why. Like, off the top of my head, you probably want to talk a little bit about like safety and basically crap like that, because people that are looking to possibly buy a moped for a 16-year-old probably want to make sure it's safe, and also probably not terribly expensive would probably be my guess. Right there. So you could rank for a term like that, and guess what? If they're convinced that the stuff that you basically talk about, hey, they seem to know what they're talking about. This is what they suggest for a 16-year-old, and look, it looks like they have. They say they have the best price on this right here on this link. They'll click that link to check out the store or the site that sells the moped, and when they buy, if you're an affiliate, you can get a cut of that. And again, you can just brainstorm kind of any kind of questions that you want in any niche. So this is kind of like a cool little trick right there that a lot of you have probably seen when you've done a Google search, but you probably haven't put two and two together and realized that, hey, you can use this as like a research tool as well right there. So the next thing that I want to show off is a trick here. And so you've probably heard in the past how I showed off the guest blog post finder, which is basically a tool that you type in a keyword like weight loss, if that's your niche, and it will find places that appear to allow guest bloggers or guest blog posts, which basically are it's like another blog that accepts other blog posts or basically articles from guests, which would be you. And you could click here and go straight to the link in question, which is where they basically accept guest blog post, or you can click basically on contact. They'll pull up the email addresses. You can check those off, and you can email all of them with a click of the button right here. It integrates with services like Gmail and such. And now, obviously, that's great for like if you want to do guest blog posts and all that. That's all fine. But I want to share with you a different trick related to that as well. So what you can do, rather than just being a guest blogger, which is great and has tons and tons of benefits, another trick that a lot of people oftentimes miss is that you can also look for places where you can advertise on and be an affiliate for. So instead of just asking to do or to be a guest blogger, you can reach out to these places right here and see what it would cost to have a banner ad there. And even if you don't have a product yourself, you can often have a banner ad that goes to your affiliate link, and if the rates are cheap enough, you can play around with that. But the cool part is you can do some research ahead of time and see which ones might be the better sites to try to advertise on. And you want to look at the Alexa rank or the value. Basically, the higher the value, the better. For Alexa, it's the opposite. The lower the number, the better. So if it has an Alexa ranking of, in this case, 52,000, it means like it's within the top 53,000 sites. And that's, that sounds like a lot of sites, but when you think there's tons and tons and tons and tons of sites out there, that's actually pretty good. Here's one that's within the top 16,000 or so. And again, you can just kind of go through and see which ones have, larger amounts of traffic and stuff. Like here's one that's not bad right here. I usually just look at the value, because that's usually the fastest way. Where the higher the number, the more it's worth your time right there. And on the higher value ones, you can just click on contact and just basically ask, hey, I was interested in possibly advertising on your site, and I was wondering what it would cost to have a banner ad. And then even if it's not for your own product, you could basically test out popular affiliate products. And if one place gets back and they have a cheap rate of, let's say, like $50 a month or so, you can test it out and see if it works. If it works and you make a profit, great. You just found a super easy way to turn an easy profit without even having to do any work yourself. Because again, you can just be an affiliate. If it does not work, you're out $50 or less for one experiment. So that's not terribly bad. But if it works, you might turn the 50 into a couple $100 a month, and you can have that then on autopilot for a super long time. You can also, on that same note too, you can use, there's another comparable tool to that called the competition backlink tool. And that's slightly different than the guest blog tool. And what it basically does is, instead of searching places where you can be like a guest blogger, it searches, well, first it can analyze any competitor site that you want, but you can also look for basically sites that rank on page one of Google, and you can basically reach out to those guys as well, and you can reach out to all of those at the same time. Say, hey, if they rank for weight loss and they're on page 1, you know that they clearly get probably a lot of traffic. You can instantly email them with a touch of a button and see what their ad rates are, and you can also even spy on where they get their backlinks and such from. In fact, I'll actually do a search here. I'll just pause it for a second. I'll start a search here, and I'll get back to it in a bit. So I'll let it search that, and then we'll go back to that in a second. Unless it goes, sometimes it goes real fast. Oh, it actually did go real fast. It usually takes a bit more. So in this case, I didn't have a site as an example, but it shows here the stuff that ranks on page 1 for with weight loss. You can reach out to all those places right here. Again, just click contact. Will show the email addresses associated with that. Then click contact all checked addresses. You can also see where they get their backlinks from, and then you can reach out to those places as well. So like right here, I can click that. In this case, it gave an error. Not sure why. I'll check that. Looks like it might, and I know the server was having an update. So usually, if you click that, it would show essentially backlinks. But I know they were working on some server stuff right now, so that might be one of the things that's down right there. But normally, you just click that, and by tomorrow morning, guys, and that's just a side note that I wanted to actually mention at the end of the call, they are in the process of a server update throughout the day, but they think it should be all entirely done sometime by tonight. So a few oddball things might not work for basically a half hour at a time, or like an hour at a time as they update basically different parts. So just keep that in mind, but by later tonight or tomorrow morning, that won't be a problem there. But normally, if you click here, you would see basically the backlinks to these sites right there. And then you can also reach out and contact those places as well and just ask what their ad rates and stuff are. And occasionally, you can find some that have really cheap deals. And if you just want to be an affiliate, you can run your affiliate ads there and see which ones work and which ones don't. The last thing that I'll show off is the very last method here. I'll just have to Let me just reboot this one real quick. This is using the Tweet Lead Finder tool, which is just under social and then Tweet Lead Finder. There's a cool way where you can actually kind of snipe clients from the competition or see who is interested in what. And I'll show off a few cool things with that. So first of all, what you can do is you'd click on here. This is just under keywords and settings. Let's say you're in the personal development niche. You can basically write down all the keywords associated with like any of your competitors. It can be their names. It can be names of their books, names of their events. In this case, the first one that came to mind for that niche would be, Tony Robbins. You can type in like any other names you want. You can type in event names. Then you just click on leads, and these are all people that are basically talking about Tony Robbins. Some are basically doing essentially quotes of his. Some might be talking about books, and these are all guys that if they're basically quoting him or they're saying anything like that, that they're clearly probably a decent lead in terms of they might be a follower of his. They might be possibly attending an event of his. Another thing that you can do as well is you can look for basically hashtags and stuff too. And you can also exclude stuff. So let's say like occasionally you'll see like sometimes if there's like basically a popular tweet, like right now someone just gave basically a quote of Anthony Robbins, so you see a lot that have like a retweet from looks like Chrissy Leslie there. If you want to like eliminate those, just make it easier, because these are all fresh leads. I mean, there can be hundreds to thousands of leads a day for some of these terms. You can just go down to exclude, and if you want to exclude stuff like RT or at, I forgot her name, but whatever it was, you can easily exclude that stuff. Just click save, and it will basically filter through all that. But another trick that you can do as well. So with that, what you'd want to basically do on the leads part is, knowing that all these are basically interested in Anthony Robbins, that they're probably interested in basically personal development, you can choose to follow those people, and a lot of them will instantly follow you back, which would mean that you're basically building a personal development list on, in this case, Twitter. So people will start to see basically posts and stuff that you have, and you're basically building a list of basically people that are clearly of interest, to what you're, essentially about, or what you're selling. Another cool trick that you can do is you can search for hashtags and stuff too. Now, if there's like I know Anthony Robbins, like usually several times a year he has some very big events. So people oftentimes will give a hashtag about that event. So if there's like, let's say, I think his large one is like Date with Destiny or some name like that, you can search for basically a hashtag like that and find tons and tons and tons of people basically talking about an event that they're at. So what does that mean? So some of his events, I forgot the price, but there's one where there's like a couple thousand people and they pay like I think it's like 25 grand each. So you can literally find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people or leads that are at an event that have each paid 25 grand that are interested in personal development. Now, do you think that there might be some value in knowing who those buyers are? Absolutely. And do you think if you're able to basically follow them and have several of them follow you back, do you think that might be of interest, that might be basically beneficial to have people that paid 25 grand in your niche or in the market that you're in, seeing you and paying attention to? Absolutely. And one basically trick that you can do is you can not only under essentially keywords. You can type in a hashtag, like if the hashtag is I don't know, like that, or anything you want like that. I'm not sure if that's it offhand, but you can type in any hashtag you want, and it will actually find that for you. You can find all the ones basically talking about that. So during the times that there's like large events or stuff like that, you can find a lot of stuff. Now there's a site that can help with that too. I want to show off that. It's free. It's called hashtagify.me, hashtagify.me, and you can basically type in any term that you want. So in this case, I basically typed in date with Destiny, which I know is a big event of his, and it will show up all the hashtags basically associated with that. So you have to kind of weed through it a little bit, but you see, like, here's one that there is a hashtag called date with Destiny, and we see that's associated with a hashtag for defy the odds right there, which the hashtag is just basically pound and then defy the odds. I don't know if that's like a book of his or what. We also see it looks like there's two events as well. So it looks like there's a hashtag for DWD Gold Coast 2017 and one in 2016 as well. We see there's a hashtag for his nickname itself. So you can kind of see related hashtags there. And you can do this for like anything that you want if you want to look for like hashtags in. So let's say you're in the weight loss niche. You could type in a keyword like weight loss, or you can type in the competition, and you can just see what these are. It has like a handful of tweets and stuff here that it shows off. But the main thing that you want to basically look at is right here, and you see here's basically all the related hashtags to that. If you want to type in the competition itself, like off the top of my head, what would be like a weight loss competitor, or a weight loss brand? Probably, I'm guessing, Weight Watchers. That's the first one that came to mind. I don't really know what else is there, but I'm sure there's lots of them if you're in that niche right there. And you see right here, here's the hashtags that are basically related to that. So we see Weight Watchers, we see Slimming World. So these are probably some of the competitors, and you could search for basically the hashtags of those to see basically people that are specifically talking about that, and you just go right back into our tool right here, and you could actually type in the hashtag itself and find people are basically talking about that, and then you get them to again easily follow you back, because a lot will oftentimes do like an auto follow. But if you find one that's like a really good lead, they don't even have to follow you back, because you can also still reply to them. So if you have like basically a cool offer that you think would be of like very, very useful to them, you can still reach out to them where they would see it. You don't want to really spam them, so don't say, hey, make sure to click my affiliate link or click here. I mean, offer value first and foremost. But on that note too, you can also use this tool to like, let's say, the example I like to often give is like, if you want to find basically people that are having trouble losing weight, or let's say they got like a speeding ticket, and let's say you have a course that helps with weight loss, or a course that helps them get out of a speeding ticket. You can find guys specifically complaining about stuff, asking questions on stuff, and you can reach out to those guys and basically offer them advice or value first and foremost, and try to drive basically traffic from there to anywhere that you want. But that's the one of the uses I talked about in the past. But I wanted to specifically show off and mention that, hey, you can use this to actually search for not only hashtags, but search for people that are specifically talking about certain brands and competitors, or that are basically attending certain events out there that are in your industry, and you can basically snipe some of the best clients from almost anyone that you want right there. So with that, that's the last of the methods that I plan on sharing today, because there's not really a ton of time left in the hour. So we'll change and move to the Q&A, and then we'll do the cash giveaway right after. But while I have you here, actually, I'll just show you for basically giveaway. For the cash giveaway, you'll want to go to getwebfire.com/FB group, which will forward right here. Sharon has a post up right here, which asks what you thought of today's training, and then you should leave a comment within that post right there. And in about like 5 or so minutes, we'll pick a random winner from that. So I'm just going to pause the screen as I go back to the slide. And again, guys, as a side note too, we have some free software tools and such, which we mentioned on some prior calls, but again, I'll probably give that link out one more time here. First, you can go to bizfire.com/survey, answer a handful of questions about your business or ones that you want to start, and it will actually give you personal tips and suggestions based upon your answers. Then at the very end of the survey, you'll see basically a sign up where you can get a free basically like a funnel maker or like a mind map maker tool that kind of maps out essentially your business and shows what you could make or how profitable it might be. Then you can sign up there and see that at /members after you take the survey. So just make sure you go to bizfire.com/survey first. So with that, guys, if you have any questions about anything you saw today or any marketing questions or anything in general, feel free to ask those now. Otherwise, of course, you can go to this link right here and leave a comment within the post that Sharon did, and we'll pick a random winner in just a couple minutes here, and we'll PayPal them $100 instantly. So again, you just have to go to getwebfire.com/FB group. And again, if you're not a free member of that Facebook group, just click join, and Sharon will approve of you probably within like a minute. And leave a comment within that post what you thought. And of course, if you have any suggestions for basically future calls or anything like that, feel free to leave that right there. Yeah, so with that, Sean, if you've seen any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask those. Then we'll do the prize drawing in just a couple minutes here.
Okay, so here, John asked this question earlier when you were talking about expired domains. He says, I was previously told that an expired domain hits the market again. When it does, it loses its link power. It seems you're saying just the opposite. Would you explain the ability of the site to keep its power after it's back on the market?
So it depends what you mean by link power. So there's two things to keep in mind. One, there's an old thing that basically Google used to basically look at that isn't as much of essentially a factor here, and that's they give like a domain authority. So like if there's a site that has a ton of links, the authority of that site will be really high. So any links that go out from that site will hold a lot more value essentially. Now typically over time, if a domain expires or just gets basically taken down, it will eventually lose the authority in a lot of cases, and not all the cases. But you don't really care much about the authority in this case. You care about the traffic. So let's say, here's a perfect example. Let's say you're in the weight loss niche, okay? And let's say there's a site that's ranked #1 on Google that's currently live. And let's say that live site basically talks about some weight loss pills or products or something like that. And one of the main products that it basically talks about is now expired. Anytime that people go and search for that term like weight loss, which might be hundreds of thousands to millions of searches a month, if they click that top site and they see another site mentioned as a suggestion and they click through, if it's expired, it goes nowhere. Whereas you can actually forward that traffic to your own site or to an affiliate offer or anywhere that you want. So you don't care what Google or anyone thinks of the authority of that site. If it has a lot of backlinks, it can get traffic, especially if it's in a good market and showing up for good keywords and such. So it's like, in that case, you don't really care what the authority, of that link is. You care that it's ranked for a good term and is most likely getting a decent amount of clicks. So that has essentially the value. And on top of that, there's also a lot of existing backlinks, and there's some that basically argue that Google does not give any authority. That's actually not the case, because we've seen that they actually do give some authority to those, as long as they're like a domain that's a legit one in good standing. Like if it's one that was basically expired and used for like a lot of spamming and crap like that, oftentimes those might be red flagged or black listed. But the tool that we have typically won't show any like that, because it's only showing ones that are like either ranked on page one or ranked on live sites or listed on live sites that are ranked on page one. So it shows both of those, so you won't have a problem with that right there. So basically they all can get a decent amount of traffic and can have good amounts of traffic and such too. And for an investment of like $7 to $10 a year for a domain, in a lot of cases, that's a no-brainer.
Okay, so jumping ahead in the training, Hannah asked this question, which I thought was good to talk about as well. In the social section where you're looking for people to buy, how many replies or answers do you need to do to engage with to get a buyer or to find a lead?
So the example I gave today was basically how to do essentially the research, like just to see what they're basically talking about. Now, if you want to get a buyer, you don't just want to search for a term like looking to buy. You want to search for a term specific to what you're selling. The example I gave was more so like if you didn't know what you wanted to basically sell. But to answer your question, like let's say you, I don't know, let's say you sold, massage chairs, and you found a handful of people asking questions on the massage chairs or possibly looking to buy one. There's no set like amount. Like I think you're asking like how many do you have to reply to get like a buyer? Is that right, Sean?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no easy way to really say that. I mean, it's kind of like asking, if you're if you sell cars or mopeds or homes, how many people they have to talk to before you get a sale. It really depends. I mean, you might get lucky, and the very first one might be an actual buyer that is good, and it might take a while. But the lead tools help you identify possibly how interested the lead might be. Like if someone is just asking a question, let's say on a massage chair, that's still probably worthwhile lead. But if someone is like, let's say saying, hey, I'm looking to buy such and such chair, and that's like a $6,000 chair, hey, that's probably a lead that you might want to prioritize, because that's a super good lead right there. Then it all comes down to the value that you bring on that post. So if you help them out, they're far more likely to buy from you. I know like last week or the week prior, I basically gave an example. Like if you had a service, like let's say you were an affiliate for diamonds, okay, where one sale might be worth hundreds of dollars to you, in some cases even thousands, just as an affiliate. You could use the lead tool to find guys asking questions on diamonds, like, hey, what's a good site to buy from? How big of a deal is the clarity? How big of a difference is a good versus an excellent cut? I mean, all sorts of stuff like that. If you take the time to actually answer the question and give them value by saying, hey, if you need help, feel free to let me know. Basically, what kind of diamond you're looking for, what essentially your budget is, and I'd be happy to search the net and link to a handful of examples. I think would be a very good deal. For a service like that, where you're basically taking a few minutes of your time and you're helping a person out at the same time, giving out your affiliate link at the same time, that's far more likely that they'll basically appreciate that that help click through and buy the suggestion that you give, especially if it's a legitimate suggestion that legitimately is a very good deal for them. If you just link out to like a random store that is a horrible deal that does not help them at all, it's highly unlikely that they'll randomly just buy from you at that point. So that's kind of too hard of a question to really answer without basically knowing how good of a lead it is and how good of a reply or how much value you basically bring to the table for those leads.
Okay, and last question before we give away money. So if you haven't posted yet on Facebook, post now in the right spot once, not 7 times, but once. John was asking first, for an expired domain, can we get the traffic count of what traffic they're getting in advance? And the answer is no, you can't, because you don't have access to the actual stats. I mean, you can do some research to get a guess as to whether or not it's worth spending $7 or $8 to buy the domain. And then the better question that he then asked was, how do you get your best guesstimate? And it's really hard to know how much traffic you're really getting. But the truth is that if you're finding a domain that's got inbound links, that's listed on other sites, and it's really keyword rich and germane to your business or to what you're trying to sell as an affiliate, that can generate you income for months or years to come because you get it ranked and you're getting free search engine traffic, then is it worth the money to buy the domain? Probably. It doesn't cost you a lot of money to buy that and throw up even one page of content on a WordPress blog just to see how much traffic it's getting or see what you can do with it.
Yeah, plus,
the risk factor is so low that as long as this is really works for your business, then there's no reason not to grab a domain when you're like, wow, this looks awesome.
Yeah, now what you can do to get like a rough guess is what basically the tool does is it can basically tell you what it either ranks for or what site it's listed on and what that site ranks for, and it will give you an estimation of that amount of traffic based upon the keyword. So you can get like a rough guess saying, oh well, in this case I see that it ranks for at least this, and I see that this gets X amount of searches each month, so that's probably not bad right there. And as an added bonus, it might rank for several additional things that you don't know about as well. And you can search for that domain in Google and oftentimes see what some of the extra backlinks might be. So you can get a rough idea pretty easily, but just using basically common sense, within the tool itself, you can see if there's a keyword that ranks for, like, let's say weight loss, or is listed on a live site, of weight loss. Let's say it's listed on a site that's ranked like 1, 2, or 3 and gets like 100,000 searches a month. Hey, that's probably worthwhile without even knowing anything else. Because again, you're talking about risking $7 to $10. And that'd be definitely worthwhile right there. Now, if there's one that only gets like, let's say, 1,000 searches a month, you're saying, hey, you're still basically talking about only $7 to $10 a year. You can do a little more research and see, hey, where does the site basically pop up on? Is it basically mentioned on other sites? And if it is, very, very quickly you get a good idea of what that domain was, where it's basically mentioned, and in most cases, it's pretty easy to know that it's worth, basically $7 to $10 there, because it's not really a big risk at all. So with that, Sean, should we give away some cash?
Yes, let's give away money.
All right, so pause the screen for a second as I switch over. All right, just going to refresh the page real quick. All right. All right. Let's see here. All right.
And I can save you time. The winning number this week is 13. I'm just pre-picking the number.
You're guessing that's 13? All right. Well,
Well, no,
actually,
it's not a guess, Brian. It's a fact.
yeah. You know, that there actually was a time, I don't know if it was you or Sharon, but one of you actually guessed and it actually was right.
Probably me. I'm a good guesser.
Yeah. All right. So there's 58 here. Let's add up the ones outside that posted up outside of that to make it easier. All right, we'll not count the ones that are old. So there's 2 that posted in the wrong area. All right. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, so 5 plus 61, so we're at 66. So someone is typing. I will give you like literally 5 seconds if so. It's 66 right now. All right, 5, 4, 3. Oh, they stopped. All right, so 66 is the magic number. Go to random.org. 41. All right.
I was close this week.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. All right. Sandra Sturkel-Flack, if this is you, and you studied at Colorado State University, congratulations. You are $100 richer, or you will be, as soon as you basically provide us with your PayPal email. So if you can just post it up in the chat, Sharon will get that out to you right now. So just make sure you post up your PayPal email. And again, congratulations to Sandra Sturkel-Flack, if I'm saying your name right. So she would be this week's $100 winner. And again, guys, you know, each week we'll give $100 out, and we'll have some new basically training. So if there's anything that you'd want to be trained on, or if you have any ideas, feel free to mention that as well, and we're happy to see what we can do there. So again, every week, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll have another call, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. If you have any questions that basically pop up later, you can always write support@webfire.com, and within a day or less, we'll have this call right here basically posted up in the members area under the Wednesday calls, under basically the training tab on the left side navigation bar. We'll have that up at the very top, probably within a half day to a day top. So with that, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So with that, guys, have a great week, and we'll see you later. Take care.